Howdy folks, I'm That Literary Lady, and this is your weekly literary tip. Today's tip is dedicated to Chisa Penix Brown, also known as Lady Business. I'm going to show you the simplest way that I know how to set up a podcast. There are other tools that you can use, such as Audacity, and a ton of other tools that you can use to set up a podcast, but this is the simplest way that I know how to set up a podcast. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, folks, this is the fast version of creating a simple podcast. I've decided that next week I will be doing a That Literary Lady Instructs on podcasting that will give more in-depth and more instruction on how to create a podcast. But being that this is the weekly literary tip, which is very short, I'm just going to go ahead and go through some basics. There are 5 particular accounts that you need to create a podcast. You need a freeconferencecalling.com account. And this is just what I use. You can use others out there. Now, there are some that are free and there are some that are paid for. You can basically choose what you like. This particular one, freeconferencecalling.com, just does what I needed to do for no cost. So, freeconferencecalling.com, Amazon's AWS S3 management. It's a cloud storage feature. And it is really reasonable on price. I have to say that when I use the audio version, I probably pay less than $1 every quarter, and I just got my statement for the quarter for the video version, and I think I paid like $2.53. So it's very, very cheap. The price is based on how many people actually listen to it out on the web while it's being stored, but we'll talk about that more in the tutorial next week. Then you'll need Blogger or WordPress, and I use Blogger for this particular task because it's a lot easier. And then FeedBurner, and then iTunes. So open your browser, and I'll just go through each particular web page. I won't go through the complete process. As I said, I'll be doing a That Literary Lady Instructs podcasting video next week, and it'll give you more detail. Free conference calling again. If you haven't created an account, go ahead and do that. Once you log into it, once you create an account, they're going to send you a dial-in number, a conference code, and a host code. Now, if you are doing a podcast where it's just you talking, you will just dial in with the information given, and you would just hit record, and then you would talk to yourself on the phone or do your instruction. If you had someone calling in that you were going to have a conversation with or that you were going to interview, you would give them the dial-in number and the conference code, and they will be able to call in. And just briefly, I'll go through the account here. It's going to be locked because I am actually not on a call. But here where you manage your calls, it's going to show, once you're logged in, it's going to give you a box of options. You can mute a caller, you can record a call, you can do several things. And you would just click record a call. Once you record the call, or click record the call, the nice young lady on the phone will say, recording has started. And once you hit stop, the nice young lady will say, recording has stopped. So you'll know. And then you'll know who's on the call because different boxes will pop up for each person that's actually on the line. And we're not going to go through that because I would actually have to call in and show you how that's done. And we'll do that on the instruction side. Once you record and you're done with your call and you hang up, all your recordings are going to show up over here. Now, again, next week we'll get into all this other stuff. But the most important thing right now is to hit download. You're going to hit download, and it's going to ask you where you want to save your file. And in my case, I've saved it on my desktop. And then once you've done that, you're going to come over to the Amazon SW3. Now, this particular URL is so hard to remember because I can't remember it half the time, and I've been using this for a while. The best way I say to get to this particular site is click in Google. Put in Amazon S3 and it'll bring you to this page, and you just click on S3 right here. You create buckets for each type of program or project that you're working on. In this case, we're doing tutorial That Literary Lady, and I've got test 3. And the important thing to remember is to make this public. So right here where it says properties, if there was a lock there, that means it's not public. If it's a blue RSS symbol, that means it's public. So now that it's public, we know that it's out there. So I'm going to copy and paste this. into Blogger. I told you I use Blogger, so we're going to go back and use Blogger. Let's do a new post. And actually, I'm not going to do a new post. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. And just for the sake of testing, I just clicked a lot of junk in here, and then I put to listen to the podcast in your browser, click here. And what I did was highlighted that, and we're going to take the link out and let's put it back in. Let's highlight it. And the reason why I do this is because everybody doesn't have access to iTunes. So they can listen to your podcast in their browser by clicking on that link once you added it. But over here, you have to make sure that you've added the link into links. Down here where it says enclosure link, you have to make sure you copy and paste that there, and you click done. You publish your post. I'm going to update it. It's already published. And then you're going to go ahead and view it here. So it's actually there. So when a person goes onto that site, they can actually click there, and it'll open it up in their browser as such. But make sure you also have a FeedBurner account. Go to feedburner.com, create an account, and you can link it to your blog, whether it's WordPress or Blogger. Like I said, Blogger just happens to be much easier for me. And every time you do a post, whether it's audio or video or text, it'll come out on your FeedBurner. And so these are lists of some of my feeds. And what happens is FeedBurner somehow links the Amazon link from your blog to FeedBurner to iTunes. And you're going to need to set up an iTunes account, which can be a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult, and we'll go through that next week. But create an iTunes account and then link the iTunes account to your FeedBurner account, and that will help you create a podcast. There are other ways, again, to make podcasts, but again, this is my easier way of making a podcast. And I know it may seem a little bit difficult, but next week, again, I will be doing a tutorial, That Literary Lady Instructs Podcasting, and it'll be a lot in-depth information, probably about an hour long, to show you how we actually set up these podcasts. But in the meantime, go ahead and set up an account with freeconferencecalling.com, Amazon S3 AWS services, whether it's a Blogger or Blogger or WordPress, a FeedBurner account, and an iTunes account. And I'll show you how to put it all together next week, and then we'll also talk about some more advanced tools such as Audacity. So, again, we will be doing a tutorial next week, and I'll give you more in-depth information on it.
So there you have it, folks, the simplest way that I know how to set up a podcast. If you want to know about more tips and tricks, or you have questions for That Literary Lady, go ahead and email me at info@thatliterarylady.com. You can reach me on Twitter at @THTLiteraryLady, or you can reach me on Facebook at That Literary Lady. Again, this is That Literary Lady, and this has been your literary tip. Have a great day.